Hello, Political Science 300 Tuesday section. Here are some notes on the rest of the section. This is in lieu of tonight's lesson, but you will see that um, the lessons are going to be delivered on Tuesday, and then you'll have a week. On Thursday, and you'll have a week to do them. So in general, I posted the tentative finals questions, and we'll go over that in a second. The rest of the semester is basically policy presentations, and in a minute we'll go over what the policy, what you need to be looking for out of the policy presentation. And then I'm in the middle of getting all of the grades done. Your midterms are up. The observation paper though is causing some problems. Somehow it got set to 100 points when it was really supposed to be set at 20. So you guys are looking, and many of you are at 20 out of 100, 18 out of 100, something like that. That is I'm changing it, but I'm having some technical difficulties. So in other words, if you have a 20 out of 100, you don't have 20%. You have 20 out of 20 just as soon as I can get the technical stuff worked out. You'd think that it would be just a matter of changing the number, but it's harder than that for some reason. Okay, your presentations are due at 7 p.m. on the day your group's papers were due. In other words, tonight groups 1 and 2 should have already uploaded the papers. The presentations. If you have not done that yet, please do it in the next 24 hours. Um, I will compile the videos on a list. I will give an introductory um, video so you can see kind of how the discussion, so you can put it in some context just like I would in class. And then so if you get them to me on Tuesday, I can get out the lesson on Thursday. So there won't be a Tuesday lesson at 7 going forward, but I will put out a lesson on Thursday, and then you'll do that the following Tuesday. But you can also do it anytime between Thursday and Wednesday. So because these are peer lessons from here on out, the what I want you to do is look for how policy is executed in California. So we've talked a lot about how the legislature works, how elections work, how the governor works, and all of that. How does that all come together to help us have K-12 policy or homeless policy or transportation policy, et cetera? There will be a brief activity in following each group's videos to help you integrate the ideas of the video. So generally there'll be like 100-word response that you'll need to put together. There'll be one final question that will ask you to draw from 3 of the 8 policy areas. And we'll get into that in a second. So one of the policy areas will probably be your policy area, but you'll need to draw from 2 others as well. Okay, here's the final structure. Um, Posted questions to Titanium, but here are just a general overview. There are 2 questions. Each are worth 50 points, so there's 100 points total. Um, the current wording is tentative. I'm going to kind of tighten up the wording when I get after we've had after you've seen the policy discussions. In other words, it might change just slightly in the wording, but the gist will be the same. um they are due May 12th at 7 p.m. on Titanium, and please, please, please stick to the word limits. That way I have a way of evaluating everybody kind of on the same basis. I will get the questions up 2 weeks before they're due, and because you have pretty much, unlimited time to do it, you don't have the one class period to do it. I need you to stick to the word limit so that everybody's on a fair shake. You shouldn't need to spend more than a couple of hours on the exam, but I know some people will spend more or less than that. Okay, so the first question is about policy. How do state and local governments execute policy in California? Use examples from at least 3 policy groups to justify your answer. Again, this is 50 points, and we're looking for 400 to 600 words. You want to look for 2 different things. One is, how do the institutions that we described in the first half of the semester come into play when executing a specific policy. And the second part is looking at the policy issues themselves as they were described in your peers' presentations. The second question is on coronavirus. You're living it right now. You're living actual government policy where government probably has bigger impact on your life than it ever has in your entire existence. So the question will be something to the tune of, how did California state and local governments respond to the coronavirus? Describe why and how the executive and bureaucratic arms of government were more important than the legislative and judicial arms. So we talk a lot about the three co-equal branches of government, but in this case, we are talking pretty much about the executive and the executive function through the bureaucracy. Why is that? Why is this situation not requiring legislative and judicial input to the same extent of others? We want to know, in what way did California government help residents, and in what way did they need improvement? And so you'll use examples from Gavin Newsom at the state level, and then also what happened in the Bay Area, what happened in Southern California, and what happened in less populous areas. So essentially, your first paragraph will be how, an overview of what the response was, the lockdown, anything that had to do with the health situation with supporting hospitals or getting ventilators or stuff like that. So a kind of a paragraph establishing what it was that California did. Then another paragraph on why the executive was so important in this. And then, four short paragraphs on what the governor and the state did, and what happened in each of those three areas: the Bay Area, Southern California, and less populous areas. Again, this is 50 points and should be between 400 and 600 words. In answering question two, I will be posting on Thursdays, along with the lecture, your peers presentations. I'll be doing a weekly coronavirus updates. This is not an update in terms of, like, what's happening nationally or internationally. It's going to totally focus on what's happening here in California as applied to the course itself. It's not going to be the same thing as like a CBS News report. It's going to be kind of tying everything to um, the course material itself. And you can be able to use those videos, as well as your own experiences, things you read in the news, etc., to answer this question. And the whole idea behind this is that you integrate theory and actual policy in the time of crisis, that you understand kind of how all the theory we did in the first half of the semester actually applies in your life at this moment. So you can look for the questions on titanium. And if you have any questions about the questions, any questions about the presentations, please let me know. And if you and please get those presentations up, 1 and 2. You're supposed to have it tonight, but you can do it tomorrow. And then groups 3 and forward on the day you were supposed to turn it in. Thanks a lot.